Welcome to Common Unity, the podcast that unveils the unique life stories shaping the individuals of today.
Often, it's scary, right? When you're going to start a business, and I've had a few people be like, how do you just take the leap?
When you play to your strengths, you experience ease, excellence, and enjoyment.
Yeah, right time, right place, but you put yourself in that place. That luck never happened without all the work that led to you being in that place at that time.
Who cares how people look at them? Whatever keeps you ticking, until you get to the next thing and figure it out.
Join us as we unravel the triumphs, challenges, and pivotal moments that have crafted the past of our guests. I'm Jason Fox.
And I'm Nick Fennell.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back, Common Unity 2024, first episode of the year, and she's a biggie.
Oh, shit, I don't know about that.
I met this guy at a gym, and I tell you what, you remember when I had a real chiseled jaw, good features, a bit like he's got. It was when I was at his gym at Snap Fitness, and I'd go in there for a 20-minute workout and an hour conversation, and my jaw was chiseled. So this might be a long podcast. We'll see how we go. We've done a few things. He bought a house for $200,000. I said, "You fucking mad, mate. You're not going to make any money on that." And he did. So I had to eat my humble pie. So he's got some good yarns. So welcome, Brent Henry.
Yep. Oh, well, yeah. Hello, Jason. We know each other, obviously. Met you once before, Nick, and thanks for having me on here. Definitely the chisel jaw thing. I've been, I speak a lot. I don't know what else to say about that. And I love it. Rhetoric can get you places in life. It's got me a lot of deals. It's got, it's and in the gym, I wasn't short of a yarn, but hey, it built,
Built community, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, and the customers like it, and they still speak about it now, and my ex-clients, and you get a chiseled jaw, and I wasn't slowing down Jason's 20-minute just bicep curl session. That I did too much. That's all he did 50% of the time. So let's move on from there.
Gun show.
Had to be able to lift these beers somehow.
And so where would you say your journey started? Is that what school did you go to?
Financial or just
Well,
life?
we can just say, what school did you go to?
I actually,
Where did you grow up?
in Otrahonga, which is a little town in the south of Hamilton, about an hour. So by the Waitomo Caves, actually. So some people might know where it is. A lot of people don't. It's pretty small, 3,000 people or so. So that's where I was. I was brought up. Went to a school there, South School. There's only a couple of schools in the town, so you're either one side or the other kind of thing against each other. But that's where where I was brought up. Yep.
And it's still very much a home for you, isn't it? I know you've been going backwards and forwards there, and
Yep.
So you haven't left that behind. You still got a number of friends there. Is your nana still over there?
My nana's actually in a home now. She got dementia over the last couple of years. So
sorry about that.
No, it's just it's age and things. So I had a good run. Spent a lot of time with my nan in her latter years. Took her to Aussie and down south and things. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall a bit. So she's over there, and a lot of my family have moved away, but I've still got ties there. I've got a couple of friends there. I own a couple of commercial buildings there. I've bought and done up, if you want to talk real estate stuff as well. But still got a couple of buildings over there, and it's just kind of. Then I was born on the end of the main street there, pretty tied there a little in ways, So.
Yeah. Oh, you've definitely seen the opportunity there and made it work for you. I know a bit of your story. The guests won't, but I guess it's going to come out.
Yep. Did you grow up on a lifestyle block, or were you just in town? Or
no, just in town,
And so is it in town with 3,000 people? You
Yeah.
must get to recognise a whole bunch of faces.
You don't recognise them, you know them pretty much, but yeah. So you get to know small place, not too much to hide, So, but it's good, in a way too, things you don't get in the city, more community, I guess. Everyone kind of knows everyone, and things get sorted out, even if you're kids between parents rather than, extra authorities or something. Things can kind of,
sure.
So it's a tighter. People keep an eye out for each other and different things, and pretty small, size of some colleges probably.
That's a good point, eh? Oh shit, that little bastard just stole that off the back of the truck. Hey Bob, your son just fucking whipped this off my ute.
Oh yeah.
I'll sort him out and be around there with thumb on his ear. What do you say to him?
Stuff like that. When I was growing up, if I did something wrong and I knew someone else's parents seen it, if they growl you, you're worse when you get home, and it's not even for what you did, it's just embarrassing, who looks after you. So it's kind of pride, and everyone knows everyone, and you know, you get a double ass kick when you get home, you know. So now if you went to growl some kids on the street and you went to their parents or something, you know, everyone screams and yells. You can't do those sort of things anymore, you know. So yeah, small place. So
That's an interesting perspective you don't really think of when you've been in a city for so long.
yeah. So
And when did you first branch out? How did you go about branching out?
leaving, I was there a lot. I bought my first house there when I was 20. So, and then I did little stints in Hamilton on and off, and I still didn't really get out of there full time until my late 20s or something. Yeah, so I was there a lot. I had a house there and for 5 years, and then I built another house after that when I sold that house, and I was there for quite a bit. Didn't leave for too long, so sort of hung around. So a lot of people kind of, think small towns and things, you need to run to the cities to make money, but I don't necessarily believe in that. I kind of think every time you move, there's a setup cost. There's a, everything has a cost, an opportunity cost. You move, you waste time, money, capital. So staying there and it actually did me well, a good foundation, and
Yeah, well, you just breezed over it real quickly there. Like, I was 20 and bought my first home. Like, I don't know anyone in the city that's really doing that. So, was that what really got you on the ladder, being able to buy a house so young? Because I'm assuming the house is probably like $200,000 versus $1 million in Tauranga now.
120.
Yeah.
So
it gets you on the ladder a bit easier, because that's what so many people won't do. They live here in the cities and they're like, no, I've got to be able to buy a house in Main Street, Mount. Like, no, bro. Go and buy the house over there, $400,000, and then come back to here in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, so my house, it was pretty run down when I bought it. It was kind of a scary thing to do at the time, but one of my aunties nearly talked me out of it, which I'm glad I didn't listen to her. But I got brought up from my grandparents, but also used to stay with a couple of my uncles a bit on and off as a teenager and that sort of thing. And one of my uncles in particular was sort of like I'd seen him buy old houses and do them up and kind of, and he'd told me he's a bit like, he's a businessman in ways, he's a bit rough around the edges, but he sort of said, you don't want to kind of rent, you don't want to be someone's bitch kind of thing, and I'm like, I don't want to be someone's bitch. So, and then I've got a weird kind of, I've always had since I was real young, like a propensity to save kind of thing. So I found a thing from my childhood a while ago, and it was when I was 11 or 12, and it had down my hobbies, and one of them was like saving money. So I had it from a very young age. I saved a lot of money, and some of it different to a lot of people.
Yeah, you're very humble.
Yeah. So
I would say humble is knowing your background. You're not out there trying to be flashy or do anything. You've always just keep your head down. And like I said, you're more about lifestyle.
Yeah.
You want to be able to go, you know what? Snow just dumped. I'm going to the mountain.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, I like, I guess, having assets for the income they produce and the security I feel and the time I get free more than just flexing and that. Not too worried about that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, I find real wealth is in having time and, freedom. So that's kind of why I got, from a real young age, I guess in ways I didn't feel in control of my life. So I saw, I don't know, from really young compared to most people, that if I can get a lot of money, I can get freedom and I can get control of my life. So that's why I started I've always, even when I was a teenager, I worked a 20-hour-a-week job after school, 3:30 to 7:30.
And what was
things
that?
like that. At a timber company, local timber company. So by the time I left school, I think I had $5,000 or $6,000 when I was 15, which was a lot of money then saved just from after school jobs and things.
And you left school at 15?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you worked at the timber yard, saved up a bunch of money, and then what? School just wasn't resonating with you?
Yeah, I was kind of, I don't know, when I was young, I was a bit kind of funny in life and a bit, I don't know, maybe rebellious and whatever, and just didn't, in hindsight, I wish I'd kind of spent my time there better, like learning. I quite, like math and those sort of things and accounting are pretty like pertinent to like business. So like I wish I'd maybe dug in a bit, but at the time it wasn't my thing. And I just left and wanted to sort of get a job and drink beers and chase girls, whatever I felt like doing at the time, for being honest. So
Yeah, nice.
So So but I've always sort of had a weird thing with saving from really early, I guess. So and a bit of that's old school stuff. So my grandparents actually brought me up. My parents both died when I was young, and he was just old school stuff, you know, like you work and you do jobs properly and you save money. So he was really, great sort of at that thing. But in some bits of our life, he was a bit of a dick. Like I love my grandfather, he brought me up, but we had like domestic violence at home and a big drinking culture and different things. So I had weird situations when I was young a lot, sometimes as well. Not towards me, but more between my nan and granddad fighting, or, you know, bringing parties home all the time when we were little, and sometimes I get pissed off with it and just think, you know, my way out of this is getting as much money as I can and when I'm older. And yeah, so that's kind of, I don't know whether I was like, you know, driven or pulled or, you know, psychologically to sort of make, you know, collect money, but long story short, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where'd you go from your first home in Otahonga? Got another one?
Yeah, I had that bought that. It's cheap, so I feel sorry for younger people now because that was 120 grand or something. So a deposit at the time was 12 grand.
Yeah.
I was earning $10 an hour, so it's all a bit. It is a, you know, it's.
Yeah, but $20 an hour now, $24 an hour doesn't equate to a $300,000 house still, does it?
No,
not
it
here
doesn't.
in Tauranga anyway. So.
No, so I was earning $10 an hour then, and if you were earning probably for the same job now, you get 30, but the houses aren't triple there. You know, they're 5x that or whatever they may be. So so it wasn't easy back then. Interest was 10%. Like I remember like going to the bank after a year of paying my mortgage, and I wasn't very. You know, I'm not like I am now, and I'm not used to these things. And I went in there and I was just like, you guys are ripping me off because my mortgage only dropped $100 in a year because the interest was 10%, you know, and my payments were down low because I couldn't afford big payments. But I just thought, what the F is going on here? And I learned a pretty, good life lesson about interest. But
Fifth form maths wasn't cutting it.
What's that?
Your fifth form maths wasn't cutting it.
Nah. So
no one realises that you've on any loan the first year is all interest pretty well. Whether it's a car loan or anything, all that interest is loaded up on that first year because it takes a while to pay down principal.
Yeah.
People think like it's your repayment's $200. $200 a month is literally coming off that balance. No. The interest accrues daily and ticks over that term.
Yeah. So I got a life lesson on that, but it was cool. It was a cool learning project, and like I had a mate who was a builder, and we did little bits and pieces, and I repainted it over time, put a deck on it, did the gardens and different things, and then sold it. I think 5 years later for $265, and that was so there was an actual boom then, and I just caught that one, and then it dropped off again after that. I think that might have been 2007, which is showing my age whenever that last boom. So I caught a boom then. And then I bought a section at the same time and built on it, and that kind of sucked. I thought I was going to, get, this is the way to getting wealthy, and I ended up selling that. I think I pretty much broke even or made a tiny bit of money because the market dipped. So had this house, had to build a house and muck around and do all this stuff, and then made pretty much next to nothing or a little bit. So I learned
quite the property guru you thought you were after selling one home.
No. So but it's good. Yeah, good getting into things young, and then you just learn, So.
And then how'd you move through into your second one? So you realised you paid a lot of interest, and then you started learning maths? I imagine you started learning.
Yeah, start figuring it out a little bit, and then, but on the second one, I thought, I'm going to build it for this, and I'll buy the section. But in that time, I pretty much caught the end of the boom when I sold my house. So by the time I had that section sorted underway and the house built, it had been, like now. For the last couple of years, it's dropped off from the peak. It just crashed, and any profit I got just went with the crash, So I ended up selling that off, but broke even. So it could have been worse. There were a lot of people losing a lot worse than, Yeah. I built my way out of losing money, to be honest.
Was that around the time you moved to Tauranga? It was, wasn't it? Because I'm pretty sure when I first met you, that home wasn't that far off your radar.
No, it would have been. I didn't move here till I was 29, so I might have been 26 or something then.
A couple of years later.
Yeah, a couple of years later. And then I moved. I actually went to Perth for a little bit when I was about 29 or something, maybe 6 months or something. And then because I was trying to open a gym in my late 20s, when I got towards 30, I thought, I'm overdoing random shit I don't like doing, for work. So I thought, what do I like doing? I always like going to the gym, so I thought I'm going to, do what I like. So, when I was in my late 20s or mid 20s, whatever, I studied to be a PT, did that, and then I opened a gym, and I wanted to do one here because I had some mates over here, and I'd hooked up with Snap Fitness, and the Hamilton sites were all gone at the time. And I'd looked around here and just trying to find a building with enough parking and everything. It was a nightmare. So I was trying to do that for, I don't know, maybe nearly a year, and I got over it. My mate said, you want to come and try a different life in Perth? So I was like, yeah, why not, you know? So I ended up over there, and then funnily enough, one of the buildings I wanted to get here, the guy rang me back, and then because he couldn't find anyone to lease it, and I was like, yes, sweet, this is great for me. It's negotiation time, and I got the lease. I got the first 2 years for like 50%. So I got a year, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, a year free.
Work it.
Yeah, so I said, you want me to move back from here and you want this and that? It's going to be my way a bit, you know. So, yeah. So they rang me, but I'd pretty much given up on the idea a little bit after a year trying to find a building. I was like, I actually thought, you know, if I settled into Perth and liked it, I might try and open a gym there.
And on that, guys, it's also super important to us that this gets out to more people. So if you can, and you got some value from it, please share it on your social media, tag your friends in it, send it to someone that you think may get some value from it.
So that if we can get on good guests and ask them great questions, then hopefully everyone that's listening gets some value out of it, and we can keep bringing on better guests with the experiences that you need help with.
Yeah. That's a skill though. You've just out of the blue starting your first business just gone, nah bro, this is my rules, I'm coming into it. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, that's my dream, cool, what's the lease? Okay, those are the numbers.
Yeah.
But straight away the negotiation was there. Where's that come from? Do you think you had to negotiate with your grandfather a bit over the time and stuff? Like,
I wasn't too much negotiating with him when I was little. You know, but no, I'd worked in, like, so when I left Odo and I was up in Hamilton for a bit, I'd worked in car sales a bit as well, second-hand cars and stuff like that, so sales. And
so you understood the grind and the hustle and trying to get the trade down and stuff like that.
Yeah, and one of my uncles I spent a couple of years living with when I was younger, and my grandfather, they were good, like, real social kind of dudes and just, you know, good with the jaw, you know, basically. So I learned a lot of their outgoing sort of charisma sort of way, like, similar to them. I kind of had it a bit, you know. And then I got the gym, and then from there, like, it's just people. Like, now I sell real estate, and, you know, before that I'd flipped homes and I'd buy a lot of my own houses, and Jason knows a lot of that story as well. But it's just, maybe I was sort of brought up around it, and I might have a natural kind of inclination towards it more than other people. Like, I'm probably a bit extroverted, but it's just reps and sets, like a gym too. Like, you manage a gym and you're working on the front of that counter, you might be doing 30 sales a month. It's a lot of training. You know, you're working, but it's a lot of training in sales. And if you understand sales, you understand people, it's transferable. So with a gym, like, people are coming in with a problem, and it's the same with real estate. Someone has a problem, and the problem can be like divorce, they just want to move on with their life, whatever the problem is. And if you can fundamentally, like, get the problem out of them, assure them you're going to help them fix it, and they trust you, it's a pretty transferable thing. So with gym staff, they used to always say to me, gym staff were like, oh, Brent, people are ringing up about the price. They always want to know the price. And if I email them back them the price, they sometimes would go no, and they'll moan about the price. And then I used to, like, show them. I'd be like, look, where's one of those emails? And there'd be an email come in, like, how much is the price of the gym, blah, blah, blah. I was like, watch this. And I couldn't pull it off every time, but 90% of the time I could pull this off. And there's always, like, real analytical people, practical people who are going to just grind you out to the money. But I'd ring the people up and I'd say, hey, Sarah, whatever, you know, you inquired about the gym. And they'd say, yeah, I did. And I go, okay. So, like, and I would just go problem solve it. And if you do that, they wouldn't even talk about the money. And it's sort of the same with real estate. And I'd ring up and go, hey, Sarah, like, so you wanting to join the gym I see? Like, what do you wanting to do, if you don't mind me asking? Maybe, do you want to lose a bit of weight? I'd throw the words in their mouth a bit. You want to, because no one likes saying, I'm fat and I want to lose weight. Like, even if that's true, they don't want to say that. So I'd say it, give them the words a bit. Like, you know, do you want to lose a bit of weight? Maybe you want to tone up, or just get a bit generally fitter, or feel better mentally. And they'll answer one of those things and go, yeah, okay. And they'll say, yeah, we want to lose weight. And I'd say, oh, that's great. You know, we can help you do that. And then I'd be, do you prefer doing weights or cardio? Because we can do it either way. Like, if you want to do weights, don't like cardio, we'll just do high reps, weights, little intervals. We'll get it sorted. And then they're like, oh, yeah, well, I actually hate cardio events. Sweet. We'll do some, you know, high, like, interval kind of weight stuff. And then you've just gone, yep, mint, problem, sweet, I got my problem sorted. Okay, so we can do all that. We'll get a trainer in. How about, when are you free tomorrow? Like, you know, I'd always do 2 times because psychologically people like it. Like, you're free at 4 or 6, you know, that takes the cognitive load off them answering. They'll answer one, bang, you book them in. No money talked about, carry on. It's just problem solve it, you know? And then that transfers to anything once you
And
understand.
you've literally made it tick box for them. Yes, no, yes, no, yes,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either
All the
or
way to a
options.
yes. You
Yeah.
got two options and they're both yes for me.
Yeah. but yeah, a lot of the time, you know, it might sound like rhetoric, little tricks or something, but it's not as well. It's kind of just, if you can help someone get to where they want to go, you know, it doesn't really matter how, you know, you don't want to be deceitful, but in a lot of ways, if you can help them do that, because humans struggle to make decisions, you know. So if you can make that process easier for them. I used to say to my gym workers, they go, "Oh, Brent, we feel like we've been a bit salesy." I'm like, "You are, but like, what are you trying to do? Get someone to come do change, you know, get a healthier habit. We're not the pokies, you know, we're not selling e-cigs. I don't think it's a bad thing to have to use a bit of sales to talk someone to do something that's good for them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I agree.
So you gotta, some people wouldn't sell, like, people feel funny, like they're trying to, but if you're trying to help them, you shouldn't feel funny, like, because a lot of the time they'll spend that $20 a week at something stupid anyway, by some Cody's 8%ers or something. So I never felt bad about, as long as, so that's, yeah, and then I transferred that skill, obviously, into real estate. It's the same thing whenever I sell houses or talk to people. It's, yeah, we'll get to the, like, don't show them, you know, don't just go on about all the features like I'm so great at this and whatever. Just find the problem, help them solve it, and genuinely kind of give a F, and you know, and that'll work in anything.
Yeah, people don't realise that everything's a sale, right? Hey, babe, where do you want to go for dinner? I don't really know. I feel like steak. I don't feel like steak. Well, what do you feel like then? I'm not too sure. I saw this great TikTok the other day, and he's like, "Hey, babe, you'll never guess where we're going for dinner." And she's like, "Oh, we're not going to Indian, are you?" "Oh, yes. How did you know?" "Oh, yeah, I was feeling like Indian." "Oh, that's great." He's like, "Sweet. All right, we're going to Indian today." It's always a mind trick, eh?
Yeah.
And whatever you lead with is either going to set you up for failure or success.
So I kind of digressed, I think, a lot from your original
No, that's
question.
good.
But,
That was a good story. Those are nuggets.
That's a great story. And there's so much to unpack in there because, like, even just going back to your gym, when you got the call, you're in Perth, you've made this decision to go to Perth, and then what, you're going to come back to NZ to start a gym that, did you buy a franchise or were you creating your, okay, so.
So I'd already gone through the process of snapping that, and we were just trying to find, it was coming down to finding a site. They're not easy with a gym because you need a certain amount of space, and then car parking's a massive thing. Like, you just never find in a good, you know, prime commercial zone, like, who's going to build a massive car park for you? They'd make more money putting it into building. So that combination can be quite hard to find.
Yeah, you kind of don't really think about that, but a person takes up 1 square metre once they're in your building, but their car takes up 6 by 3 metres. So it's a lot bigger slot outside.
I had to get a resource consent at the gym, and I had 15 parks there, and the council even was still like, "Oh, nah." They were talking about trying to make you put a bus stop in, and I'm like, "Come on," like, you know. So
So people could bus to your gym instead of parking there.
I think they just try to get a free clip from you. Like, they were like, "Oh, you're putting the load of how many people are going to be around here up. Let's make you put it there and pay for it instead of us." You know?
Yeah.
And I got I you know, got a consultant and got out of that. But yeah, they've got requirements too around how many parks you should have and blah blah blah.
And so was there ever any stress around, like, have I got enough money to pull this off? Do I know what I'm doing?
Heaps of stress.
So run us through some of that. Like,
Okay, so at the time, before I'd already kind of started setting up here, I bought a townhouse in behind McDonald's in the Mount. So I had a property then, and I think I paid, I can't remember what I paid for a chair, $350 or something. I got it, and the people were, they had to go overseas, and it was pretty much.
But like the lease, you got a year free.
Yeah. I probably robbed a solid 50K off that, you know, because I went there and there was an auction, and there was, actually, that's the story. There was me and a guy there, and there were 2 townhouses right around the corner from each other. And I said to the dude, I just went up to him and I said, "Are you here on these townhouses?" He said, yeah. And I said, "Which one do you like better?" And he goes, "I like this one." I said, "I like the other one better." And I was like, "Stay away from mine or stay away from yours." He said, yeah, sweet. So, you know.
even then.
Yeah.
That's a good tactic.
Yeah. So, it ended up pretty favourable for me.
2 25-years squeaking at each other.
And then I ended up trotting off, like, from, I never bid up to where they wanted, and I just said, fuck, I'm cruising, you know, whatever. The real estate agent chased me down the stairs, come back, you know. So I got that. I think I paid $340 for it or something like that. It was $390 on the RV at the time, and then pretty quickly it was worth a lot more money. So I had that at the time. And then to do the gym was a scary thing. I got down to a pretty low mortgage by this stage. I was just touching on 30. I think I had 50 grand left on just because of my starting when I was 20.
Yep.
And my house, even when I started when I was 20, I'd filled the thing with flatmates, all the tricks, to pay them down. So by the time I was touching on 30, I had that townhouse and it was worth 350. I think I paid for it. It was probably worth about 400. I only owed 50K, so I was in a pretty good position. But to open the gym, it was about 500K to open the Snap. I had to borrow. So ANZ lent me half, and then I got second tier for the rest of it. And yeah, it was pretty trippy because it was all in. The bank were like, if you fuck this up, we'll take your house. You'll lose everything you got.
Yeah.
So I've always been, bet on myself, man. So I was like, I'm fucking doing it. So I just did it, Would I do it now, like at 39? Probably not. I wouldn't bet everything on everything I own now, but
But you could take a calculated risk now. You'd be like, you'd probably still bet 500K because your position's different. You just wouldn't bet whatever you're worth.
So it was trippy, but like sometimes it's good to burn the ships, eh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's real valuable.
Yeah, no, because if you got an exit, like you'll take it, and a lot of people, if they've got exits, that's what they do, whether they're bought up wealthy or different things, or they've got that, if you burn the ships, you haven't got much option. But everyone can't burn the ships either. I get it. You've got children, you've got this, I didn't. So I'm not giving financial advice here. So yeah,
but that financial hook's what keeps you there, right? And like real estate, for an example. People come into real estate all the time. They don't earn money for 6 to 12 months, and they're like, "Screw it, I'm out. I'm going to get a job." That was way harder than I thought it was because everyone thinks it's easy, which it's not.
Yeah.
But you do real estate for 3-5 years. You've done, you do your 10,000 hours in anything. You've done your apprenticeship. You start actually succeeding.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to stay in it that long, you'll do well.
Yeah.
When you've got a 5-year loan, guess what? You're stuck there for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, actually, this is starting to work now.
Yeah, it gets easier.
Yeah. You grow as a person. What was hard becomes easier because your problems become bigger.
Yeah.
And on you grow.
Yeah.
And so what was the growth curve like when you got the 500K, you get back here, you've now got this premise, you've signed it all, and now you got to go and sell. Did they give you a playbook saying this is what it's going to be like, this is what you're going to do?
Yeah, but they were a bit more loose back in those days with support. I know people are still involved with the brand now. A lot more support. Back then it was a bit more cowboy, so it was a bit, you're on your own a bit, so it was harder than I thought, to be honest. So it wasn't, I underestimated it. It's hard. Yeah, it was hard. Big lease, big outgoings, and started with 0 members, so it's,
Was it sort of sold to you that they'd help you bring members in because it's the big brand and blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, they
all of those franchises are sold that way. And
they sell you the dream, and they give you figures which are based off the top freaking 5% of,
stores, This is what they can do.
That's what they can do.
Yeah.
And blah, blah, blah. So, they sell you the dream a bit more. And they didn't, the support wasn't there like I thought it would be. And I know in the brand now it's a lot more there from what I hear. I've got a mate, he was actually a guy, Chris Shearer, he owns the Pat branch. And I still go there, and he runs a really good ship, and it was the first franchise he had ever sold was to me. So he come up and helped me at the opening, and I still know Chris now, which is pretty cool. But from what I hear now, it's a lot more, it's different in there now, but it was a lot more cowboy when I started, and sort of you're on your own a bit, so definitely harder than I thought it was going to be.
Did you start when they were sort of like at 5 or 10 branches, and now they're at like 50 or something? Or
they were still pretty big then, but they're colossal now. I don't really know the numbers, but I think they have 2,000 plus gyms or something.
Oh really?
They were smaller. They were still big when I started. Even for New Zealand, they were reasonably big, and I think America they were big, but now they're everywhere in New Zealand now. Yeah. I think they're the biggest gym chain in New Zealand. I haven't checked, but
huge.
And then, interestingly enough, you weren't just owning a gym at the same time, were you? You're talking about all these property transactions. You had the gym going on, all the stresses of that, and probably trying to teach people how to sell out the front, but you're still out there trying to buy a house as cheap as possible.
Yeah, so I kind of stumbled into flipping houses a little bit, to be honest. It gave me a bit of a reprieve from... One thing that was hard, it was actually really hard, I just kind of skipped, was getting used to staff. I found that probably the hardest thing. Yeah. Back on the gym before we get to the houses, staff I found a different kettle of fish because I can always rely on myself to grind out or whatever, So I was to be frank, it was probably quite softer than I should have been on staff. That's a real skill in itself. I found hard for a long time. Probably one of the hardest, to be honest. And then to the how'd the housing kick in from there. I'd had the gym open maybe 2-3 years at this point, and real estate had started picking up a little bit. And I can't remember why I wanted to sell my townhouse. Can't remember. I don't know why I did it, but I decided to sell it and maybe get a house. And then I sold it, and because I bought it well, I think I bought it 50K under or whatever it is. I think I might have paid 300K for it now. Not 350. I paid 300K for it. Yeah, I did. I paid 300K for it. And I sold it for 390, and I did it a couple of years or 3 years or something like that. I moved to a house on Monganui Road. I can't remember the number, 579. I bought this house, and it was down the back, 80s type kind of house, and I did it up, and I did it up. I had it a little while and thought, it's okay, but the road's a bit busy and whatever. And then while I was doing that, I got to know the neighbour out the front of me, and he was like, Brent, I'm going to sell this house. And I was like, oh, okay, I might. Yeah, I can't remember how it all folded, but long story short, I ended up selling my house I was living in at the back, and then I moved into the front house, and then I made money on that house, and then the front house I renovated, and I was like, oh, yeah, I could, maybe I could do this, I've done it a couple of times. In my 20s, I did it real slow, 5 years and whatever, but I was like, oh, yeah, I sold the townhouse, and that was just from buying well. I realised, oh, yeah, I made a bit of money then, and then the same time I started getting cash flow because my business was starting to bigger by that point, so I had cash flow and capital. And then I did the one house, and then I tidied that up a bit, and then the neighbour sold the one out the front, and I was like, it's brick, it's quite cool. Got in there and then did the same thing, and then lived in the back one, then lived in the front ones, and then sold both of those over time. And then it's once I'd done that, then I'm like, I could possibly do this, I've, kind of done it in houses I've lived in anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, I just, from there I got into flipping a few houses, and I just figured it out, I guess.
And you did it the hard way too, You were doing it all with main bank lending. You weren't really going second tier for your flips.
No.
Yeah.
So if I'm being candid, I just lie to the bank all the time, to be honest. I just can't be bothered with banks, so they used to piss me off. But I just tell them every time, look, I'm not recommending this to anyone either, but I'd just say, look, I'm buying this house. When I did get into it, this is a rental, blah, 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 blah. And then just tell them I'm buying it to rent it and da-da-da. Nah, just do it up, sell it. Yeah. Do it again. You think they would have clicked on once they seen me do it a few times? No, so... Because they're just a pain in the butt if you actually tell them you're flipping a house. Yeah. So, I bought a place. I think once I sold those houses, I bought my home where I still am, which is out by the halfway between Pap and Te Puke, and I'm on a lifestyle block out there. So I had homes building out there. And then once I sort of got out there and I had a base and whatever, whenever I saw an old house, I'd just buy it and renovate and do it up and sell it. Yeah. And I'd done it a few times. I think I'd done a dozen houses or so around, or a bit more maybe, or I can't remember, around the city. So, yeah. Did you have because
I've got a good friend who lives in Australia, and he buys and sells houses, and he's now does talks in front of a class of people about how to copy his method, but he basically picked a theme that worked really well. He has this beachy theme. He pretty much does the same themed house every time because he knows how to do it, knows how to create that vibe, and then just does the same thing each time. Did you go into any of that, or did you just
in ways I had my same colour schemes. I wouldn't. It's just easy if same kitchen guy, same this, same that, same tradies, and then I'd lackey around and do stuff as well, keep the cost down. But if something works, it's like real estate or anything. Gym sales, people are people and humans are humans, and the same stuff. If it works. Well, not broken, don't fix it.
Williams Corporation built 500 homes, I think, almost in their biggest year.
Yeah.
300 is pretty common. Every single home has the same tile, same carpet, same kitchen colours.
Oh, wow.
There's no options on it. That's how they can turn them out cheaper, but at a high spec, where people will like to work, live, play, or whatever the saying is that they always repeat. But no options. Here's your home. Do you want it? Yes, no. People
There you
want
go.
them, and people want them. And, again, people don't always know what they want.
Yeah.
What's not going to work in New Zealand for them, as an example, what's not going to work in New Zealand? Oh, no one's ever going to buy a house without a car park or a one-bedroom home. That doesn't work. Biggest seller, one-bedroom house, no car park. Oh, no one's ever going to have a house with a washing machine and dryer in the kitchen. Most of the world has a washing machine and dryer in the kitchen. They all live in apartments. Guess what? Works just fine here in New Zealand too. So, people don't know what they want.
Yeah.
So,
So, to your question, I guess, like I would rinse and repeat some aspects, but they were varying homes too, like, 50s brick or 80s, hardy plank or something. So they varied a bit. So but colours and some things use the same. And, if you are doing it and you got the same tradies and you trust them, and it's not worth changing them. And neutral colours go with everything and stuff as well. You don't want to go. I used to like black white on the walls, grey fries on the roof. Like I had my little colours I like, but sometimes I'd vary them. But generally,
you've always got something left over too. You roll into the next house. And I've got enough paint to do half the house.
Yeah. But I just fell into that flipping kind of like that. I'd just done a few houses of my own over a very long period and then kind of fell into it. I got a good mate of mine, Yo Roberts, and he got into it at a similar time, and we'd push each other a bit, and he's real heavy still into it. So, and I think it just gave me, to be honest, it gave me a reprieve from the gym. I used to like the contrast of just getting the hell out of the gym. And like, you two would know what it's like, the monotony of like paperwork, and there's sort of never an end to paperwork. I used to like sometimes going to work on a house or water blast a fence. There's a start, there's an end. And
feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah, cognitively that feels quite good, Yeah, so I'd like the contrast, rather than being in the same place all the time. So, I just sort of to be honest, I fell into it a bit with the,
And did you balance the two for how long? How long did you go gym and flipping houses, and then did you stop the gym, or how did?
I eventually sold the gym, and then that was kind of it for trying to flip any houses because I lost. That's one thing. I probably didn't take into consideration as much. Once I did that, the banks are very hard when you've been in a business for years again. So I kind of knew I was going to do that. So I've changed my tactics. So what I did is didn't let the bank know my business was selling, borrowed as much money as I could, and bought as much property as I could, and then the gym sold, and then that was the end of it. So I just thought, I'm going to hold on to it now, because if I sell it, at that point, they won't give me the money back. So I just bought as much assets as I could before I sold the gym, and then, rode that wave. So that's what I did in about 2020 or something. Something like that. So I haven't been any flipping or anything for quite a long time now.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Just because I won't get the lending back that I have, so I went in a different thing. So tried a different tactic, But
you moved from that into commercial though, didn't you? So you it's not like you did nothing. You sold the business, and then you went over and you did up your commercial building and tried to find a tenant for that and get things going.
And I still managed to buy one commercial building since then, and I got that with second tier lending, and even that was just something I wouldn't recommend other people do. But I found a building for sale, and I knew I couldn't get any lending, but I had an overdraft, and I knew the guy selling the building. I was like, look, can I give you 50K and give me 12 months to find the rest of the money, And he's like, yes, sweet. And then, so I
don't know if you don't ask.
Yeah, and then it got near the end of the 12 months, and I was nearly in trouble. I was just struggling to get the money. I've got second tier lending in the end from First Mortgage Trust, and I got it done. But I do some random things sometimes. So I just couldn't help it. I'm like, I just wouldn't mind doing something while I'm waiting around. But so soon, it's coming up the bright line on one of my properties now, an old rental I bought coming up this year. I'm looking to sell, and then I'll sell that, and then if I want to, I can get back into sort of flipping then if I free up a bit of capital.
Deploy the capital back into it.
So I just went into more of a hold stage the last few years. Just losing the cash flow of the business, I knew the bank wouldn't. They like, as Jason knows better than anyone in finance, they like both. You can't just have equity and not one without the other,
And, And so when the gym, how did that come about? How did the ending... So you're just sick of the paperwork, you're doing up your houses, you're like, look, I built a lot of equity here.
Yeah, I was just kind of I didn't overly love the franchise, so I was over that, and I was over paying big commercial leases to a landlord, you know, and he was a bit of a dick. I guess that might just circle back to when I was a kid, you know, you don't want to be the bitch, and I was starting to feel like the bitch. I don't want to pay your rent, and I don't want to pay, you know. So, yeah, I was over it. I was like, no. So, and I said to myself, I'm not going to rent commercial buildings to do that ever again, and I'll just rather buy them, you know. So, yeah.
And you've got, you've gone from a business that's 24/7, so literally you probably are in there on a few Saturdays and stuff. I'd see you in there quite frequently, probably not so much a Sunday, but
I'm still in there a lot. Yeah,
you're tied there all the time. Versus now you're free from that. You've got your lifestyle where you can, like I said, if it's fresh dump, you're up at the mountain, the waves curling, you're at the beach. You've got your options. You've got your lifestyle.
Yeah, still not quite where I wanted at the moment. I'm still pretty busy, dude, to be honest. But yeah, and when I'd sold that gym too, I must be a sucker for punishment. I opened one in my hometown too, but I've sold that off, the majority of it now, and the last of it's getting sold off at the moment. So yeah, so I'm always sort of doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was that another gym in your hometown?
Yeah.
Okay. Glanced over that as well.
Yeah.
So many things here. This is so good.
So I've always wanted to, I was like gyms, I used to go to gym, I always thought I wanted to open a gym in my hometown, and I did, you know. I sort of have these long-term goals, and weirdly as I get older,
You just do them.
they all seem to eventuate, yeah. If you focus on them long enough, I find in life you can do anything you want, it just takes a bit longer than you think. Humans are like naturally over-optimistic, so making money and stuff's really more long-term, and it kind of snowballs. But yeah, you nearly do anything you want, anyone listening, you just don't think it's going to take 10 seconds.
Yeah. Everyone overestimates what they can do in 1 year, but underestimates what they can do in 10.
100%.
You know?
Handy.
I'm gonna have all this in a year, and they don't hit a year, so they give up. Versus, oh well, I didn't quite get there. I keep going. They're like, wow, this is beyond my wildest dreams. Right now, I'm currently living beyond my wildest dreams. My life right now is. I never thought I'd have the car that I have. I didn't realise I'd have more than one home. You know, I didn't realise I'd be able to buy the house that I'm under contract on for how I've brought it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even pictured that I'm getting a piece of land there.
I don't think when I met you even had a home. You were building the one on the lake. Like, did you have a home?
Was I with Anna?
Anna, she had one in Te
moved to the
Puke.
lake, so yeah.
But you didn't. Your first home was with her.
Yeah,
she owned a house.
I remember when you were building it?
We leveraged one. And we brought that one on Stewart Street that we did up ourselves.
Te
Puke.
Puke. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
we did that.
Yeah.
And then, like, the couple of weeks later, we're like, okay, cool. We've got a house for me now, or for us as a couple. We had her home, and we're like, oh, it'd be nice to get a house for us and the family to live in, because we were renting a house because 3 kids needed 4-bedroom, so we're renting that house in Judea Street. Hence how I ended up at your gym. We became chinwaggers. But yeah, and then we were going around, and that's when that boom was happening. And people were paying $300,000 more than a house was worth at auction, like just going nuts. We're like, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, oh, maybe we should build one. We drove up around the lakes and stuff, and everyone was like, no, we've got no sites left. You know, Golden Homes, go to them. We went to Venture, and they're like, we've got 2 sections left. I'm like, okay. And they're like, that one and that one. Like, all right. So we drove away, and then the next day we're like, yeah. And it's like, I like that one because of that one, you know, it's kind of on a T section. Someone might drive into your house if they're not paying attention or drunk one night. Anyway, we go back the next day, and we're like, we're quite interested in that section. They're like, oh, that's good because the other one sold yesterday. I'm like, okay, we'll take it. And that's the house we've got on the market now. And yeah, that.
But from now to there, you've gone a lot.
Well, it's over doubled.
Yeah, and what we're talking about is just time, sort of.
Yeah. Time. Takes a while.
Yeah, so I think that's a trap in the modern world. A lot of people think, you know, you can make heaps of money on crypto, or you can do this, you can do that. People always like the idea of schemes, but I think if you want long-term wealth, it's just grind it out, and time will help you, you know.
Well, everyone that we know that made money in crypto doesn't have it now pretty well. You know, there's like 1 in every 40 people. But everyone's like, oh yeah, I had 10 grand, I had $500,000. And you're like, oh my God, you're a crypto genius. And they're still holding. And now they've got 10 grand again.
Even I got caught in that trap, to be honest. I chucked the 10 grand at it because I was making a lot of money at the time, and I sucked. So what I've realised, you know, as I've got older too, like, just, you can't be good at just, you know, you don't need to be good at everything and don't try to do it. So now I just stick to gyms or real estate, and I just don't do anything else. I'm like, that can get me wealthy, that can feed me, that can, you know, take up all my time. I don't need any random things. And that'll still build wealth over time and do all the things you need it to, you know. So rather than, you know, chasing shiny things, you're better off doubling down on what you're good at, and you stick at anything long enough, you know, and you can make a lot of money. So,
well, Mr. Big from Shark Tank, he always says that 80% of your wealth should be in what you really know.
yeah,
You know, if you want to play with some crypto, cool, but that'd be 20% if you know property, 80% there. If you just understand businesses and you don't know what houses are, and this is what Luke from Keeping the Change and Mikey are like, nah, screw housing, doesn't work. And everyone's like, oh, it does work, guys.
Yeah.
But they just know business, so that all they want to talk about is putting money into business, and that's great. Put your money into your business. If that's what you know, buy another business, understand. But, yeah.
Oh, they're not into housing. Oh, random.
Nah.
Yeah.
It's random.
It's funny, some of the things because at the moment, one thing I'm trying to do is build my social media platforms. And I get a lot of random people comment on there, random stuff, and they'll be like, this is the da-da-da, or this da-da-da-da-da. And something I always say to them, oh, how much money have you got? Like, you made much money out of that? Like, they'll go, nah, you know, you need to do crypto, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, if you're proficient in it, like, and most people who, you know, talk that shit, they got no money. You know, if I met some crypto dude who was worth a few mil or something, like, oh, great. I still wouldn't be naive enough. That's a thing. You got to think, like, in a very competitive world with lots and lots of people, you're an actual fucking idiot if you think you can jump in someone else's world and destroy them. Because there's some real smart people. Like, there's people a lot smarter than all of us. There's people with IQs above 130, like actual freaky genius dudes. And if you think you can jump into, like, the stock exchange or jump in crypto and destroy them, that's not happening, you know?
Yeah.
So you gotta be, I guess, not naive enough to, if someone does that, great. But it's funny, a lot of the people who chuck the cheap shots around, they haven't got any money. You know,
so social media is a dangerous minefield.
Yeah.
And this is the issue too, is this podcast a classic example.
Yeah.
Everything that you could have said right now is bullshit. And how would you know? And I'm not saying it's not. I know for a fact it's not.
Yeah.
But someone's going to listen to that and take that as gospel. This is what I'm going to go and do because Brent Henry said that I'm going to take 50 grand as my...
I didn't say that, by the way. Yeah. No one sue me. I am not a financial advisor.
But that's the issue, right? Someone hears something, goes, that's what I'm going to believe, and this is how we've ended up with cancel culture. It was the same with the COVID and everything that's happened. It's like, yeah, I don't know if COVID was as deadly as they made it out, and the vaccine probably wasn't as deadly as everyone made it out, but somewhere in the middle lies the truth.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, but you're either left wing or right wing. It's like politics. Like, well, there's probably something in the middle with most parts, unless it's Jacinda we're talking about. There's just no left or right there. But
I don't think it's good to chase like random, fashionable, quick. I don't think there's any get rich quick schemes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's any really like in anything, shares, anything like. There's no get rich schemes because when it's funny because people always say to me, Brent, have you heard this? I got this random thing. This thing here is going to be real. You know, this is the share. This is the thing. And I was like, if that was true, there'd be smarter people than you who's speaking with me or us that would know this, and they would have just already got the competitive advantage on it. Like, you're not Warren Buffett. Like, you know, like there's not many people who can actually really be real, like have these niche things where there's just such an advantage. Like, it's just, I think the reality of making money at anything is just putting in the time and like Jason said, and just, you know, keep going. And you can like adjust stuff and get better at it and just over time. And then, money snowballs too, compounds, all those sort of things. But I think all the get rich schemes are just the only people who are getting rich are the people advertising them, clipping the money, you know.
Selling the franchises.
Selling. Or selling, whatever, you know. So.
Yeah, I mean, the trick is to upskill yourself first, right? Everyone wants to go and buy the house or buy the crypto and stuff, and they're going to go and trade it themselves. We'll find that guru that factually actually has it, and maybe if they've got the online course, because they've actually done it, unlike most of the online courses, then that's someone you can talk to about it.
100%.
Pretty hard to find in crypto because a lot of them are scams.
Yeah.
Property, not so hard. They can go to @Brent Henry.
NZ. Follow me.
Brent Henry NZ.
Yeah.
You know, there's options out there with people that have actually done it that are giving you the information for free. And they give you some of their time if you want it, and you can actually go see tangibly what they've done.
There's like an old like Marcus Aurelius saying, and it's like, you know, don't trust the man who's not in the arena. I might have hashed that a little bit, but the point is like, you know, if people are like talking shit or like whatever, or that like don't trust them if they haven't done it, you know.
Yeah.
So when I see like pundits on, you know, on social media or whatever, and they're just waffling or give advice, I'm like, you know, unless they've done it, don't ask someone how to be a millionaire who isn't one, you know, or don't ask someone how to do a lot of real estate who isn't done it. Like it's just crazy. And some of the people who teach it and people pay these people, I'm like, you've got to be joking me. Like I've seen it. I won't say any names, but like I've seen business coaches around the city even that people pay to coach, and I'm like, they're not even worth $100,000. Like, why would, like, they might be a nice person, but like, you know, business, it's not checkers, it's chess. You got to be like, if you're not good at making money or acquiring assets, you're not a good business person. Yeah. And obviously that's age dependent. Like if a 20-year-old was worth $100,000, he might be worth listening to. But if you extrapolate that out to a 40-year-old, I wouldn't take advice from a 40-year-old worth $100,000 if his business advice. I'd be like, we haven't done that very well, you know. So you got to be careful who you take advice from. Like, yeah, you want to take advice from people who've done, be where you want to be, or you know, it's a little bit age dependent.
I listened to your Facebook and I noticed that you love a litmus test. If you were going to say a litmus test on who to take advice from and how to filter through all of this information.
I do like saying that. Yeah. I don't like running, ironically, but yeah.
So, what would be the litmus test that you use if you were going to try to describe one for analysing opportunities?
Opportunities or who I listen to? Or
both.
So who I listen to, like, you know, like I get a plumber around and he's been a plumber for 15 years. I'll listen, you know, that's sweet. I'll take advice from him. Or even a 25-year-old, like he's good at plumbing. So it's just, I don't know, like people who have been in the arena, like I don't want to listen to a business coach who hasn't made a lot of money and they're in their 40s, or, you know, someone teach me about real estate who's done none. So it's more what they've done. With business, it comes down to money a bit more as well. In real estate, you want to have made money and things. And yeah, with other stuff, I guess it's just time they've put in, like a 24-year-old and he's playing for New Zealand, playing football or something, you'd listen to him. So it's not necessarily always older, but it's just look at, like, are they where you want to be, I guess, in whatever it is, whether it's sport, money. If you get a 45-year-old business coach and he's not very wealthy, are you getting a business coach because you want to get your business going well to be wealthy? Well, I wouldn't get that guy. Yeah. So you got to look. People don't do that though. People feel like in New Zealand you can't ask people questions like that, like what's your net worth or what's that, and I'm like, why the F not? Because you're paying him money to teach you about money. Yeah, you know. So
the biggest thing with the coaching, because it grinds our gears, because obviously we dabble in that space. Is that most people are coaches that have never even ran a business. So, well, how many staff have you hired and fired? What's your succession plan? What do you know about systems and goals and processes and all that sort of stuff? That's what people don't know. And this is the importance of coaching, is like, cool, you can go and start a business. And this, I use this for the coaching analogy, right? You were just talking about on the phone when people rung up at Snap Fitness. Yeah. You're like, okay, so you want to lose some weight? Yes, no, tick box. Yeah. Okay, cool, we'll get you in and we're going to do a program with you as to what you do when you walk into the gym. Yeah. People just start fucking businesses and go, I've got this. Yeah. It's like, no, crazy. You don't, bro. You've been a builder for 3 years. You can swing a hammer and you hit your thumb twice a day with the bloody hammer anyway. Yeah. Yeah, great. You can be a builder. Cool. Appreciate that. So what do you know about hiring and firing? What do you know about advertising? What do you know about accounting? Oh, I wasn't very good at math at school. Cool. Well, you're all of those things now. And this is the issue. And people will go at that for like 5 odd years rather than paying $5,000 or $10,000 or something to shorten that to a year.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in paying like
the right person.
Like I don't mind. But because I think there's 2 ways to pay in life. It's time or money. Yeah. So it's like, what do you want to do? Like if it depends, it's circumstantial, you know, like if you're grinding it out, you mightn't have that spare money for a coach. You just got to grind it out and you'll get the life test. You fail and get up. And that grinds out years of your life. But if you've got, like even me at my stage of my life, if I can pay to shortcut a year, it costs me $10,000, I'll do it. But to the right people, you know. So coaching's really important. And I there's someone I really like. I've always sort of followed as Ty Lopez. You'd know who he is, Jason. And maybe because he's into fitness. He reads a lot, even a ridiculous amount. So he's kind of
he's got the most books in front of his Lamborghini, more books in front of his Lamborghini.
Yeah. So I sort of like the guy because he's sort of similar, you know. So I'm gonna pay to go overseas probably later in my life. I've always wanted to pay to go see him and get some coaching from him. So that's something and that won't be cheap.
Yeah.
But he has made a lot of money. He has a lot of he's sort of, you know, the proof's in the pudding a bit. So
one of our guests that's been on this podcast has tipped a whole lot of money into Tony Robbins and and has been to see him like 5 times since.
Sure. Yeah.
So like hooked on it, like loves it.
Yeah.
One of the big takeaways from that, which you may experience a similar thing, was he's sitting there at a table with a guy who's like exited $7 billion businesses.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Not like $1 million businesses, like exited multi-billion dollar businesses, and you're at the same table. So it's not even just the person you're meeting; it's the room you're surrounded with.
100%.
You know, and that's what Action Curve is to me. The membership program stuff is having a winning circle. Like the conversations we're having now is what we do in our program. Is like, where are you stuck on your business? How can we help you through it? Let's do these things.
Yeah.
And that's what shortcuts everyone to the top.
100%.
Even myself, like the stuff that we do and that I don't know at all.
Yeah. But none of us do, and like you should, you know, I don't know it all. No one knows it all, you know.
You certainly know a lot though.
A reasonable amount, but you should. That's one thing I always do. I'm always open to learning and not being closed off, and always, you know, you should always. That's I feel you should always be kind of life learning.
Not growing, you're dying, right?
I have a theory on those coaches that you say haven't done it yet though, and they're trying to be a coach. Because I had a friend come around and he was saying how his brother-in-law's become a coach and he can't believe how this guy's going to go out and try and coach people.
Yeah.
And I was like, but the only time someone actually tries to coach someone is if they feel like they've gone through some stuff.
Yeah.
And there's no way there's not heaps of people out there in the world that are going through that same stuff that person is going through.
Yeah.
And so even though from your perspective, if you're on a high level looking down at that person going, who are they coaching and why are they coaching?
Yeah.
There's a whole trove of people on lower levels than them that are going through the challenge that this person feels like they conquered.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
like it's just got to find the right coach for you.
Yeah, for you. But they'd have to be at still sort of above.
Where you're
Or
at.
where you want to go.
They've got to be above where you are,
Yeah,
or where you're at, or where you want to go.
Because you got to watch it. I reckon some people. There's always people trying to. You know, the world's a funny place. There's always, you know, wolves in sheep's clothing everywhere.
What I find a lot of these younger people, or the people that maybe haven't done so much, do very well, is they often do the marketing better than maybe we are.
Yeah.
And they've got the eyes that we don't have. You know?
Marketing's a massive thing in business. Like, you have a really good product, and if you can't get eyeballs on it, or doesn't matter. So marketing. Another thing, one thing that grinds me when people ask about real estate or business or anything is like, I don't like doing math, and I'm like, well, you might as well get back to your fucking job. You know, like, you got to have a fundamental understanding of math and accounting and stuff. You just have to.
Yeah.
Anyone onto it, you can always ask them, like, you know, what's your profit margin on this? What's this? What's your current net worth? They'll just go buff, 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 buff. And you ask those questions, and people just rattle them off. You're like, I don't even need to know he's doing all right, you know? Like, you know.
We see it in business all the time.
You'd see it.
We ask business owners, what's profit and loss? I don't know.
Yeah, that's
How many
crazy.
sales did you do last month? I don't know. And that's what we say. You can't change numbers you don't know.
No. I look at my zero every day. It takes me 5 minutes. Like, I'm just get up, zero code, look at that. Like, nothing. It's just just making a habit. Like, you know, got to know numbers. Like, not to you don't need to be an accountant, but like,
That's the repetitions at play.
yeah.
Because you said you left school at 15, you didn't have maths, you probably wanted to get further in math, but then you just learned it along the way through reps.
Yeah.
Like, and the rude awakening of getting that first mortgage payment there, you're like, what? My interest hasn't gone.
Yeah, better
like,
sharpen up.
I haven't paid any principal down after 1 year. You guys are ripping me off, like you said, because you didn't know the maths. Whereas now,
Life's a funny thing, eh? Like, I got asked in school C not to sit accounting because they didn't want me to bring down the school average. Me and my friend got free passes for like half the year, like free periods where we didn't have to sit accounting because we weren't doing the exam now. We just got free periods in like fifth form. And now I'm in finance and do business consultancy and look at profit and losses and forecast people's lives every day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
just
You know?
goes
So
through.
at the time, it just wasn't on my radar.
Skills develop.
When I was selling trucks, it wasn't on my radar. Found that finance was a way of me not having to sell trucks anymore. Now it's the only thing I do.
Yeah.
And I actually quite enjoy it. Like, I do enjoy finding wins or finding where money's bleeding out in people's businesses and showing them why they're doing it wrong and stuff now. Yeah.
I think it's getting taken from people too. Like, even though I wasn't good at working out interest and stuff at that age, when I was young, I was actually really good at math. So it's always very good at math, like not sort of business and interest and stuff, but I was really good at math from a young age. And I think a lot of people now, they can't do anything without a calculator. And I think math is more important than people think. If you don't, even if you can calculate anything, you don't know what to calculate if you don't know.
Yeah.
So having a fundamental understanding of math is, I reckon, paramount. Like, you know,
the basics, the
base,
adding, subtraction, algebra, not so much.
Not so much, no.
I don't need to know if A equals a
no,
X
no,
or
no,
anything.
no.
Yeah,
it's good. It's like it's a mindset. Like, it's good to. Math is underrated. Like, I've actually argued with teachers about this and all sorts over there, and they you don't really need it anymore. And I'm like, I think you do, because it's like it's a frame you look at the world with.
If you don't know your percentages of profit margins and stuff like that, and you're just like, where's all my money going? Or
100%.
Even today, I was looking at a quote to incorporate like an AI tool into this web app we're producing, and the developer.
Is that to make us better looking in this? Like,
well, hopefully. No.
but
or
what are you looking for?
A little bit. I'm starting to go back a bit.
But I was sitting there with my business partner, and he was just trying to just quickly whip down the lines and add them up for what the hourly rate was going to be. And before he even started adding them up, I'd already just looked at the numbers, worked out what the hourly rate was in my head, and the didn't work because it had written hours next to the hours, and so he was trying to calculate the total, and then the total here. And I was like, when I saw out what he was working, I was like, it's $26 an hour or whatever it is they're charging us for their time. And so it wasn't much, and it was good. But just that quick thing took a long time.
I reckon math is underrated. Like, it's just a lens you look at the world, you know. And like, even with me, if you want to go back to properties, I'll look at a property and be like, oh yeah, that. If I spend that, then what's my net return on that? I'll take out the costs of that. That's a cash flow positive property. I'll buy it. You know, whatever. Like, it's a math, having that lens on the world's good. And people can say, oh, blah blah, Brent. Like, you know, like accountants can do this and do that. But a lot of the times I work in with my accountant and discuss things, and I've like, just because I'm not an accountant, but I got a pretty good fundamental understanding. I'd be like, oh, could we put that into there, or could we claim that because of that? If you don't ask those questions, your accountant's just sitting there, or they're not even doing half your work, to be honest. They chuck it down to the office girls. So if you don't have a good understanding, you could be missing out on so much money. And your accountant's just kind of running things through and hitting them through codes, and like, you know, if you don't have it, there's so much money you'd miss out on, I tell you, if you don't have an understanding, and you can't have these like proper conversations with, you know, accountants or lawyers.
Most people don't actually use your accountant. They just go home at the end of the year, oh, here's all the receipts. Yeah. They don't actually go, hey, I'm running this past. But then the other danger is most accountants are literally that taxation and GST. Yeah. Which is all taxation. Versus, hey, I'm looking to grow my business and I want to buy this equipment here, and this is going to do this to my bottom line. And they're like, oh, no, their interest rates are a bit high. Are you sure you want to take some debt at the moment? Like, a lot of them are risk adverse. Not all of them.
Yeah, they are very risk adverse.
But they are risk adverse, where you're like, no, bro, I'm going to buy this. It's a no-brainer because it's X on the tail end of it.
But yeah, I think you two both have that lens on life, and I think having, you know, that sort of mathematical sort of bit of a lens on life, you don't need to know everything like algebra, like you said, but it's very handy to start looking through the lens of like what things cost and what, you know what I mean, all that stuff. Yeah, I find like a flaw people say to me is like, we can just calculate anything. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't even know what to calculate. Yeah. You know, if you don't know, you know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
It's just, if it's on your mind, you can, like, because just that process that you talk through, saying, you know, I've got this much capital, I know how much this is going to cost. And once you've done those numbers enough times, you can kind of run through what would take someone, like I said, a long time, because they've still got to ask themselves what question to ask themselves. Yeah. And you're doing that, you're running through half a day's work for someone in like 10 seconds.
When I'm walking around a house, if I'm looking at old house, I can pretty much go, yeah, kitchen's that. And yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And like, there's a book called The Black Swan. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Uh-huh. And he's brilliant, the guy. Like, his name's Nassim Taleb. And it's one of my favorite books. And he's like, so in the world, there's like known knowns. That's what, like, everybody knows something, you know? And then there's unknown knowns. Like, if you've got an unknown known, it's known to someone. It's just not known to you. Yeah. And that's dangerous. Like, you know, and then
we all have those.
And then there's unknown unknowns, which are just, they are black swans. They are literally like something crashing into the, like 9/11. That's an unknown unknown, which is a black swan. So you can't do anything about them really, but you could try risk adjust so they don't hit you too hard or you make money on them. But that middle bracket, which a lot of people are in, is like, an unknown known, and you don't want unknown knowns in your life that you, just from being ignorant, you don't know something you should. You know what I mean? And that goes back to that calculating thing. They're like, oh, I could just do that, but I'm like, you don't even know what to calculate. You know, so yeah.
So where would you suggest the easiest way is? Is it just learn on the job? Just put yourself in pressure situations, and when
To learn how to do stuff.
yeah, like how do you learn maths if you don't know it now? What's the best play? How's the fastest way to go about doing it?
No, just talk with your accountant. Start like really giving a shit and looking at your zero, or what's another popular MYOB, is it? Just
Well, it's not popular, but it's there.
just like actually talk to your accountant or business coach or whoever it is, and actually run through it, and actually you're not gonna learn if you don't give a fuck either. If you just go, oh, this is just shit accountants do. Like actually, take a bit of care, get into it, and it gets easier. I look at my zero for 5 minutes in my bank account every day. Oh, yeah, that, and if there's any anomaly, I'll know. I just am so used to doing it. Like it's 5 minutes. Well, it's not going to be 5 minutes at the start, but
an important thing you just said there is in your bank account. So the amount of businesses that you're ripped off, and I know people like close friends personally that have been ripped off because they got a business, they got administrators, and they just look at their profit and loss and balance sheet. Everything's good, but then when you go to their bank statements, there's spark bull, like 4 spark bulls during the month for little random amounts going out to little bonuses to maybe an administrator throughout the year that's all getting coded to a telecommunications bill. You just go, oh yeah, phone's come up a little bit, but yeah, I guess, oh, that's right, we put another phone on, that seems probably about right, just carry on with your life. When they're just scraping minimal amounts out of your accounts and coding it, because if you look at a profit and loss,
they could just code it.
Yeah.
I heard this story just recently about I won't say anything, but it's a business over on Matakana Island that had 2 random employees for a decade that never actually went to the business, and it was the 2 salaries were being paid to the business administrator.
Yeah, okay.
2 full-time salaries to a bigger business that had never even been to work because they're just invisible people that have been paid to one account.
That's crazy. But I guess if you wanted to learn, back to your question, just take interest, I guess, and talk to your coach, talk to your accountant, ask. That's what I do. I've done it since I was a little kid. I just ask 1,000 questions till I get an answer. How, if there's a Japanese thing, I think Toyota invented it. It's a thing, and you just ask, they ask why, a lot. And, they're just the why. Have you ever said that? They did it in Toyota, why are you doing that? And then you can answer, why? And it gets to the crux or something.
Sounds like my 2-year-old.
Yeah. So just figure it out, and don't be worried about sounding stupid. If you go to your accountant, why, and if they give you some sort of accounting terminology and understand it, what does that mean? Just keep going, and just But your numbers, anyone who Jason could attest to this way more than me, but I can guarantee you, anyone wealthy that runs good business, makes money, whatever, bet you they know their numbers pretty well.
Oh yeah, you get excited when those customers apply. You're like, it's a dream.
Yeah, it's a tick.
Hey, you want to believe it? I got you approved in the same day. Holy fuck, this is so good. I'm going out to lunch now. Cheers, man. You made my day.
Yeah. So that's how rare it is. That's all you do, and then a bit of book. I do combinations. I read to learn stuff, and then I believe running along people that's a shortcut if you can just run along someone who. Someone teaches you who's done it before, you can run alongside them. Osmosis, just being next to them, is the easiest way. But not everyone has that advantage. They haven't got the money, they don't have the people. They don't have. But you can always ask questions who you do know. And
so were you surrounded by people? Because I, from what I heard of your upbringing, you jumped around a bit. Between uncles and grandparents. And then, so who would you say, is it friends that you went to school with who had parents that were into this? How did you...
No, it's just a bit of a solitary horse over time. I just trial and error and just different iterations of myself, I guess. I did it the hard way, a lot of it. But
Sorry, we were just talking about osmosis. I thought there was maybe someone.
No, I'm just preaching what other people should do, not what I should do.
Yeah, he's got a few scars from all the burn marks. He's touched the fire a couple of times.
Yeah. But it is I try to if I can't be around things, I'll read things of people I want to be or whatever, And then even with house flipping, which is real cool, my mate Yo got into it at a similar time, and we'd bounce off each other and that sort of stuff. So it's a shortcut to be around if you can be around or get mentored by people who want to, have the skill you want, or are where you want to be, that's the ultimate shortcut. But not everyone has the advantage of that. It costs money to pay for it, or those people are usually busy, or so you might just have to grind away a bit yourself. Bit of online learning. We're lucky in the modern world too. We got podcasts. We got stuff that other people would have never had, and even the advance. Like if you think about, you just reverse to the 80s or something, even if you want to own businesses and that, at least you had capital and you could be on big prominent streets, big billboards, big things. It was the playing field's got more level. You can come from nowhere and be good at social media and market the hell and
and do it from home with no overhead.
Yeah, the people moan about the modern world, but I'm like, ironically, the modern world's a lot fairer than it ever has been. The world's way more fair. People whinge about the world all the time, but it's actually a lot fairer than you jump back a few hundred years. Just the normal people opposed to the top. It was a bigger contrast. People don't walk around these streets hungry and that very often, and we're in a lot fairer world than it's ever been in the history of humanity, but people just whinge.
That's the thing. I heard a great point recently, and they were talking about even old 70, 80-year-old, boomer sort of generation going, things were a lot better when I was young and stuff. And so, that's good. That's good. What are you doing on your phone then? I'm just on Facebook. I'm looking at photos of my grandbabies. Oh, they're so cute. Oh, yeah. How often do you think you would have seen them 30 years ago? Would you been able to see them? Oh, no, they live over in Perth. I wouldn't see any photos of them. Oh, that's quite a nice little modern adjustment, isn't it?
100%.
How's that air conditioning going in your room? Oh, yeah. It's about hot out there, isn't it? You imagine how hot it would have been if you're still in your little barn house that you had, with potbelly stove. Things are dearer and all the rest of it, but everything's also at your fingertips.
Yeah, we live in a great world. I can't. We all get in the trap, and I'm not the most spiritual person, and I know, being grateful and those sort of things, you need to do that a bit. I can't talk. I get bad and think this is a problem, this is going in a way. But all in all, if you actually, sit back and look at the world now, objectively, it's pretty good. And everyone has. I could agree. The playing field's a lot more level than it ever was. Little people couldn't rise up from nowhere back in the day. Even with business, you needed big capital, and you needed to be on a billboard or being the whole front of a paper or on TV. Otherwise, you didn't even get a show in. So it's fairer than it's in a lot of ways than it's ever been. Humans are just adaptive. So, if you used to aircon forever, we're used to it. So we just think we don't think about it never not being there. Or
it's just your role in a constant state of comfort.
Yeah. We're just on a hedonic treadmill, and that's what humans do. We adapt. And, if we don't be grateful or go to some third world country or whatever, it's hard to sort of see the contrast. But
yeah, I remember when I was in Uzbekistan, and there were these little ladies on the side of the road selling strawberries, and I remember thinking, because I stopped and bought some strawberries off this lady, and she was so stoked, and we bought a whole bunch of strawberries that all went off in one day. But we bought these punnets of strawberries off this lady, and she was just living the dream. And in my head, I'm like she didn't have a car there. She'd obviously been dropped there, or she'd walked there. And then there was just a stall with. I was like, "How'd you even get the strawberries here? Is there some guy that just drops all these ladies off?" It was just one big stretch of road.
She just probably left them there, went away, and came back the next day.
Just leave my wife here for the day. Imagine trying to drop your wife off on the side of the road to sell strawberries and have her live the dream and be happy when she comes home.
How long do you leave her there for? Some people might.
The whole day. I don't know. It seemed like the whole day.
You leave her there for 48 hours, maybe. Maybe that's the plan.
No, but
give her a red light.
It just made me think, if someone can appreciate that from their perspective, then how can I not appreciate?
I think we're all guilty of it in a modern world, westernized world. But.
It's you get annoyed if you're waiting in the line for the most ultimate iced coffee or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's got comes out with and you get annoyed just because it's late.
Yeah.
This lady's standing on the side of the road selling strawberries. There's no iced coffee coming for her.
Nah.
And she's loving it.
Yeah.
So
we forget that, oh my God, that steak wasn't perfectly cooked. That wasn't medium rare. That was medium. It's you realize that some farmer grew that shit, washed it for you, put it on a truck, drove it to you. Someone else washed it again. They chopped it up. They cooked it. Another girl brought it out, put it on the plate for you. And when you're done, they're going to go and wash the plates for you for a small fee.
Yeah.
But you're going to not enjoy yourself because it wasn't the right temperature or it wasn't cooked properly. And it's
we're just spoiled a bit, eh?
Hard out.
Yeah. I'd way rather that than be eating offal off the side of the road.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Or just like in 1800s, if you lived in, you'd just be eating potatoes half the time and
Also
F all else, like unless you were rich. So I listened to this guy Mo Gaudet. Have you ever heard of him?
Yep.
Oh, he's the Google. He used to run Google X and
Solving
stuff.
for happiness.
Yeah, and he was sort of speaking, saying humans, it's our expectations. So like, if you go to nature, if you think about it, you go to the park and you go, oh, it's beautiful, the sea or whatever. But if you think about it objectively, like it's actually kind of messy. There's mud everywhere and there's sticks. And so why are you okay with that? It's because we expect it to be like that. And in our modern world, we have high expectations, and that is what ironically makes us unhappy sometimes. You expect that state to be perfect. You expect that when you think, what Jason was just saying, or you just saying about like, in a way you could think of it, frame it differently. You think, I'm lucky I can just go down and buy this hot coffee, which the beans got made in Colombia. If you actually think about it all, it's pretty cool. Eat bananas from Jamaica. Like no one could have done that 100 years ago. It's crazy. But because we expect this, thief is, what is it?
It's a comparison.
Yeah.
Comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah. Or expectations, So, yeah. So we've gone digressing a bit from houses and real estate, but it's cool.
Well, speaking of houses,
cool.
Speaking of houses though, like, oh yeah, cool, my mate's coming into town or your family's coming into town. You're like, oh, thank God they've left home like 2-3 days later, right? Same thing. Oh, my house wasn't the way I'd normally have it.
Yeah.
My house is normally spotless. Oh, every time I looked over, there was a blanket on the floor or a kid left a toy. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
just
same
what
thing.
You're used to.
What you're used to, yeah.
It is. I reckon there's golden nuggets everywhere.
Well, this has been a fucking real joy.
Hopefully I haven't waffled on.
Another hour, but
how long we've been going?
Hour
I haven't
15.
looked at
Not,
time.
not
Oh,
too
shit.
bad. It's one of our shorter ones.
Okay.
It's not what I expected, but I think we've covered a lot of your story. Is there any stuff that you sort of want to get across? That obviously, we touched on the social media.
Yeah, so
You
that's
are trying to grow that.
so that's something I'm doing at the moment. I'm doing a bit of I don't know, I can't remember what we've touched on, but I'm a real estate agent at the moment, so
We didn't really even talk about that.
didn't even talk about that.
Care about that? Do you want
Let's
to
go.
let people
He
know that
definitely
you're
cares
here to
about
sell-
it. Let's
sell
hit it.
their home?
Yeah, so if you want your house sold, you give me.
It sounds like you know a thing or two about property. So
Yeah,
maybe
so-
you're actually someone worth talking to.
So yeah, I don't really know where to go with the real estate stuff. So
You enjoyed it?
yeah, no, I don't enjoy it as much as I like, to be honest. So I'm actually thinking of getting out of it. I might still do a little bit of it, but ironically, I'm super busy with it at the moment. I've got about 10 houses to appraise. So, yeah, I like working, I guess, but not when other people want me to. So I do the job properly because, if I ever say I'm going to do something, I do it. Yeah, but I'm actually looking at getting out of it and looking to grow a couple of social media pages and sort of framework out some real estate courses and even maybe on finance and get other people speaking on it, because I've seen online, like, there's property coaches in New Zealand and they charge like crazy money for these courses and all this, and like real estate, fundamentally it's the dumb way to get rich. Like, it's easier building wealth in real estate. You got capital and a bit of know-how. It's far easier than a business. It's not as hard as everyone makes out. So
That's why people can get away with charging what they do.
yeah,
Because, Tama does it, for example.
Yeah.
He'll charge you closer to 20 grand now to come and be a one-on-one.
yeah,
He'll sit with you in your house
yeah.
and you'll bought a house by time and he would have saved you the money. A bit like you buying a home for 50 grand under. So he's just showing people to ask that question.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's not worth it, but I'm saying there's a lot of people that can't. I don't think real estate's that hard in a lot of ways. So I want to try framework out some courses and things that are a lot more affordable, sell them online, build up a social media platform and try to do that. And I actually said I wasn't going to come here till I got 10,000 people following me, and I actually just hit that today on TikTok. So
Oh, did you?
yeah. So
Boom.
yeah.
Nice.
So
Well, that
yeah.
wasn't too bad because so you've grown like 5,000 in 6 weeks pretty well.
Maybe a bit over. I've had that maybe 4 months, 5 months or something. So that's grown pretty fast. And again, not that easy. I've probably done 50 videos just back to back, and
Yeah.
a lot of videos. And on
Cool
Instagram,
guy.
I'm struggling. I'm finding it. Each platform is actually different. You can't treat them the same. Something I've worked out. You have to actually, they're nuanced a little bit. So it's a pain in the ass. But so that's why I'm looking at actually maybe getting out of real estate sales just to focus more on growing that platform and then frameworking out the courses. And it's just interesting to me, growing stuff and like that, psychology of humans, and kind of if I can grow those pages, it's understanding humans, and it's just interesting to me. Like real estate, I like it, I don't mind it, but I prefer to like be able to, like, with something like that too, I could be anywhere in the world, sitting there, make it, and be selling off that as well, And you're doing the same thing. You're solving a problem, which people don't understand real estate that well, a lot of them, and you're bringing in an affordable option for them. So I was thinking of frameworking out courses, maybe $299, stuff like that, instead of people only seeing 3,000, 4,000, 20,000, and they could just jump on there and go through a few of them and learn everything you need to, like if you can't afford a coach, So yeah, it's a bit of work, building pages up, doing that, but yeah, that's something I'm looking at doing now.
Yeah, we should definitely talk on that because we need to do similar stuff for our coaching, so we might be able to run them side by side and piggyback and bounce stuff off each other as we go. So we'll have a conversation off here around that a bit more.
Yeah, 100%, because there's an art to growing those pages. It's not,
I recently just started working with a guy who's coming in tomorrow to my office to work with me for a day, who grew his Instagram from 11,000 followers at the start of December
even
to
that's good.
76,000
Shit.
now.
Yeah, that's great.
And he's got a page called Grow With Me, and he gives all the secrets, everywhere to click on Instagram, how to do what he does.
Yeah.
And he lives in Omokara.
Oh, that's cool.
And he's working with me on Friday, so we're just
That's really
gonna
cool.
get
And he's
stuck
been on
in.
this podcast.
He's been on this podcast. He's on.
Because I find Instagram, I don't know why, a lot harder to grow than TikTok personally, but maybe I'm not. But then,
it is because it's the older platform and they've monetized it, right?
Yeah.
They've figured out their version of Google AdWords,
Yeah.
which is Facebook advertising. So they want you to spend some money to get your stuff in front of people's eyes.
Yeah.
TikTok don't have that paid reach, so they're giving people exposure for free.
Yeah.
TikTok, if they're smart, will change in the next year or so to, all right, now we're going to take every dollar from you if you want.
Yeah,
eyeballs
yeah.
still, because you've already built your brand and you still want that money up front.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting into that space, something different. And if it doesn't work, I can always fall back on real estate. And I'll probably get into a bit more flipping maybe end of this year again, and yeah, that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So Brent Henry NZ.
Yep. Brent Henry
on
NZ.
Both TikTok, Instagram.
Yep. Both. I had to put the NZ on because Brent Henry was already gone. So just at Brent Henry NZ. So
I'm
yeah.
sure the other one's not an NZ either.
Nah, he's not. So yeah. So yeah, if you want to find me, follow me. Like
I followed you on everything today.
Oh,
it was
sweet.
very easy to find on Facebook, Instagram.
Really?
It was
Yeah.
actually your
I
10,000.
searched. Yeah, I was probably 10,000.
I don't know. I'd have to look on TikTok. I just about. I checked it when I was coming up the door here, and then I'll jump on TikTok now. Actually, it wasn't. It was just under. Oh, look at that! Bang on 10 right now.
10K
Just did
point.
it. I told you I wouldn't come here till I did 10,000. Right on the minute.
Look at that.
Right on the minute.
There you go.
Right to the one, So yeah, there you go. I told you.
Overnight success.
Yeah.
Right here, baby.
So yeah. Oh well, thanks for having me, and
no,
it's
good,
been
mate.
great. Yeah, having a beer.
Great getting to know you and hearing the story. I'm sure there's a lot of golden nuggets throughout there.